Hello, happy hump day. This is Matt Ritchie, your host. Thank you for joining me. It is 6 o'clock, left coast time. We are about to get started here. I always give an extra minute just for all the stragglers that need to get caught up in the room, whatever they need to do to get here and now. Thank you for being on time. If you're listening, you're having an amazing Wednesday, wherever you're at in the world. So, yeah, hump day is here again. Time flies when you are having fun. And I have the chat box open right there. Just give me a yes if you can hear me. I know everything's working all right. Doing better, getting some lighting here. And that I could come up with last minute. All right. So it's already 6:02. I want to get started here because I know that you are here now, and that is more important than waiting for anyone else that thought they might want to come. Thank you for being committed and here on time. So, like I said, my name is Matt Ritchie. If you're not familiar with me, I'm an entrepreneur, lifestyle architect, and above all, lover of life. And along my journey, I mentor and coach people on how to be their best self, how to create a life they love, and how to live passionately every single day. So today's webinar hangout here, we are going to discuss fear, and specifically how we can transform our fear and use it to our advantage. So the three objectives we're looking at today is learn what fear really is. Like, what is fear? Find the story behind our own fear. And I'm going to show you a technique that you can use to transform fear and use it to your advantage every single time. So, good. We got people rolling in right now. Hello, everybody. And this concept of fear, let me first start with the definition. Fear, in a definition, is an unpleasant emotion caused by belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or is a threat. And if you're like me, most of the time you feel fear, you are in zero danger. Your life is not at risk. It's not really a threat. So why do we feel fear? Why is it still something that we create? Why does our body still make it? Well, if it weren't for fear, our existence, we wouldn't be here right now. If it weren't for the fear mechanism that took thousands of years to evolve, if you will, into what it is today, it's there for our survival. It's there, if we didn't have fear, we'd be jumping off buildings, or we'd be doing things that, maybe we just wouldn't feel afraid of doing and therefore do. It'd be interesting to see a world without fear, but I'd be a little scared. I'd probably be more fearful without any fear. So the sooner we get to realize that fear is here to our advantage. Fear is created by us, for us, to use in a way that doesn't always maybe serve us, but we can change that. We can create and choose to create whatever it is we want instead of fear. So fear, what is fear? So, I did some research on this because I was kind of curious myself. I'm like, what is this and why do I keep getting it? And I want to know the science behind it, right? So I did all my research, and fear basically, it starts in your brain, of course, and starts in the sensory cortex. And this is the area of the brain that interprets incoming data. So automatically you get this, input of data into your sensory cortex. And then it goes from your sensory cortex to your amygdala. And the amygdala decodes the data, determines possible threats. And this is the place where old memories are stored. So if you were bitten by a dog at age 3, that memory is stored in there subconsciously. So, if your sensory cortex pulls up this picture of this dog coming towards you, automatically goes to the amygdala, pulls up this fear of getting bit by a dog at some point in time. Then after the amygdala, it goes to the hypothalamus. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not sure. Hypothalamus, and this is your flight or fight response. So, are you going to fight it or are you gonna run? So, those are the three areas of the brain in which fear, we create fear. We actually create it. We create it by pulling in data, going over that data, comparing that data to old memories, and then unconsciously making a choice to fight or flight. And that's an unconscious choice. We don't even think about it. It's just, all of a sudden you see a dog running towards you, you go, and all of a sudden you take off running, or you stay and fight it. I don't know how you deal with dogs, but this is a totally unconscious procedure that your body goes through, and you've been going through it your entire life. We as human beings have been going through this since we've evolved into what we are now with the certain types of brain, with our brain evolved the way it is. So this is a great process. We did a good job. We as human beings did a great job evolving. And, this is a process for dealing with potentially dangerous situations. This is a process that is born and bred within you to keep you alive. And, I believe that we as a species are evolving so fast now. We are coming to this space in time where if you look at like the last 100 years compared to the previous 100,000 years, there's been more change in the last 100 years than the last 100,000 years. And to really feel into that and to think about that, it's hard to wrap our mind around that. And our brain just hasn't caught up. The fear mechanism has not caught up, is not evolved unconsciously to a point that serves us in our needs today. So that leaves us in this place of feeling fear unnecessarily, of feeling, these emotions and these feelings that were normally meant to keep you alive from dangerous animals or to keep you alive from potential death. So it's an outdated process. There's no lions chasing you. I hope not. If they are, maybe you need to tend to them and not listen to me. But this thing of fear is really something that we can change. We have the ability to consciously change it. So, the fear that you and I deal with is the same. It's the same, and it's different than that process I just told you. It's the same in that your brain goes through those exact same process where it brings in information to the sensory cortex, goes through the amygdala, compares data, and then goes to the hypothalamus, and you fight or flight. Well, this is the same way our bodies do it still, and when we feel that feeling, we have a conscious choice. If you're gonna stand up on stage and talk to 10,000 people or 100 people or one person, you get that feeling, that fear sometimes just paralyzes our body, right? Just pumps through your entire body, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't speak, I can't do anything, right? And we've all experienced this on some level. On some level, we've all experienced this, whether it was in front of a crowd, whether it was going up to ask for that person's phone number, whether it was at your baseball game, whatever it was, whenever the pressure was on, all eyes on you, that's when the fear seems to rear its ugly head. Excuse me. So, so what can you do differently? So it's the same mechanisms, it's just a different stimulus. Instead of being lions and tigers and bears, oh no, we have stages and people and whatever else you create a fear around. And really, it's an irrational fear, right? I mean, it's an irrational fear to step on stage and feel fear. We should not feel fear. when we step on stage from a rational standpoint, because you know that there's no danger. You're not going to die. There's no need to be protected. So this irrational part of our brain takes over sometimes, or that's the unconscious. It just irrationally happens. So when we think about things rationally and we pull things together, we come to that conscious state of awareness, which I talk about all the time, of being the base, the standing point, the starting point for any kind of change, any kind of action starts with a conscious awareness. When we come to that conscious awareness, we can take that irrational fear and make a case against it. We can tell a story of how we want it to go. So the reason we feel this fear is the story we've told ourselves before, the story that we saw someone else get judged on stage, or I got rejected last time I asked that girl out, or whatever the fear is, whatever's coming up for this time and space. So let's see here how we doing on time. Okay, good. It's only 6:12. So the unconscious irrational fear is something that we have a conscious rational choice to decide around. So before we go any further with that, I want to go through a quick process that'll help you get a little clearer about what you're fearful of, about the story that you've created. Because without that story, there's no fear. Without that story of I'm going to look bad, they're not going to like me, yada, yada, yada. Whatever your story is, whatever story you have, whether it's around failure, whether it's around success, whether it's around taking responsibility, having change, being judged, all of these things are reasons, and they're normal reasons to have fear. I myself have experienced every single one of these. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of responsibility, fear of change, fear of judgment. I think as a human being, at one point or another, we've all experienced these. So let's do a quick visualization, and I want you to get clear on what your fear is. So hopefully you're sitting down. I want you to sit down, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. I want you to get really present to your thoughts. And I want you to go back to a time when you felt fear. Maybe it was a time you were waiting to step on stage. Maybe it was a time you were going to ask that person out. Whatever that is, whatever that story is, I want you to go back there. I want you to hear the thoughts you were thinking. I want you to see the things you were seeing. I want you to smell the smells you were smelling. And I want you to feel that feeling. You feel that kind of fear, that tightening of the chest, the contracting of the throat, the dry mouth, the consistent running thoughts, all of it. I want you to go there. I want you to sit with that feeling for 1 second, 1 minute, and really get present to what the story behind that is. What is that story? Are you feeling that you're not worthy to speak on stage? Are you feeling that you're not good enough for that person to ask out? What is that story? What is your story? How are you experiencing fear? Now, once you've felt that fear, thought about the story behind it, really connected to that, the why behind the fear. Why am I experiencing fear? What is that? What is about this here and now? My dog Otto. Hey, buddy. Shh. And as you are experiencing this fear, I want you to really know this isn't the true story. This isn't the way it has to be. You get to write your own story, regardless of what happened in the past, regardless of what you thought coming into a situation. You get to choose. You get to choose how you feel about it. You get to choose if you rip you, or if you decide to take the reins and cancel out the fear. Look at this guy. Arr. So now that you have this idea of this story of why fear came to you in one situation, we're just picking one right now. You know, identifying that root, identifying that story behind it is the best possible place to be, because it gives you insight. It gives you insight into why. It gives insight into why you're feeling fear, into why your body's reacting that certain way. And I believe everything happens to our maximum advantage. So if I'm feeling fear, there's got to be a reason for it. And I want to leave you with a few, or give you a few questions here to think about later on. When you're feeling this fear, I always ask myself, one, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the absolute worst? And then go from there. Two, what am I receiving if I don't do it? What am I receiving if I don't do it? Because doing or not doing, you're receiving something either way. If you if you step out on stage, you could receive love and affection from everyone and receive great feedback, and maybe you receive money from people that buy your products or services. But what do you receive if you don't do that? For me, if I don't step out on stage, I receive safety. I receive a comfort level, right? I feel comfortable not being on stage, or not being in front of people, or not having people look at me and judge me. So that's what I receive if I don't do it. So ask yourself those two questions. What is the worst that can happen? And what do I receive when I don't do it? Really get clear on those answers for you. But since we're pressed for time, I'm going to keep moving on. Write those down if you want to feel into those later. Amazing. So I heard this quote a long time ago, and something just clicked. And I'm going to share it with you here real quick. Fear is just excitement without breath. Let me say it one more time. Fear is just excitement without breath. That's Fritz Perls. And it's true. Have you ever been, felt that feeling of fear, and then all of a sudden you realize you weren't even breathing, and you're like, okay. And you start breathing, and you start automatically feel better, right? So I want to take you through my technique that I do every single time before I go on stage, or before I do anything in front of other people. Anytime that I'm going to be doing something where I feel fear, or I know there's a possibility that I feel fear, I go through this process. So you ready? First step, like almost anything I do, breathe. Sit, stand, wherever you're at, whatever you're about to do, just stop. Take 3, full stomach, chest breaths, where you're filling up your stomach, filling up your chest, and then releasing. Give 3 really deep breaths, and you'll automatically start to feel better. Step 1. Step 2, acknowledge your subconscious mind for the warning. Acknowledge it. Say thank you. Acknowledge it for bringing on the fear, knowing that it has your best interest in mind. We don't want to, call it names, or give it hate or whatever. We want to show it love, because our subconscious mind is there to protect us. It's giving us fear because it thinks we're in danger. So give it love, give it appreciation, say thank you. I appreciate you showing me that there's potential to have danger here. And then make a declaration. Make a declaration that you're going to do it anyway. That you're going to do it anyway because you believe. You believe in whatever is getting you through that moment. If you're about to go talk to that girl, I believe that I am worthy of love. If you're about to step on that stage, I believe that I have a message that people want to hear. Make a declaration. Give your why. Why are you doing this thing that is making you feel this fear? Why are you doing it? So when you take a deep breath, or 3 deep breaths, acknowledge your subconscious mind. Thank you for sharing. And then make a declaration that you're going to do it anyway. That 3-step process for me almost single-handedly changes that feeling of fear into one of excitement. Because like the quote said, fear is just excitement without breath. I think it's the same energy. It's the same energy coming into your body. It's just we're misconstruing it. Our brain is saying, "Oh, this is scary. You know, this should be fearful. This should lock you up, or this gives you whatever you do when you feel fear." Some people lock up. Some people, can't talk. I mean, it's real. I mean, fear is a real mechanism. So instead of letting your conscious or your subconscious mind take that and run with it and continue to create this story of why it's fearful and whatever it's going to make to you, make a declaration and create a story of your own of how it's going to go. Take your breaths, acknowledge it, say thank you, and then make a declaration and visualize yourself doing it. So when I make that declaration, I'll always close my eyes. I'll start off closing my eyes, take deep breaths, just smile and say, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you looking out for me. However, I feel called to stand on the stage and deliver my message because I know that people want to hear what I have to say. And then visualize it and visualize yourself at your best. Visualize your best self stepping onto that stage. Visualize your best self walking up and talking to that person. Visualize you more confident than ever, more radiant than ever, just shining your light, full heart open, full connection. And it'll automatically take that feeling of fear and contraction into one of excitement and expansion. And then once you've mentally made that 180 shift, then the feeling doesn't go away. So that's the thing a lot of people will get confused about, or they think that myself or anyone who's gone through fear or gone through and done great things, that they don't feel fear. It's not true. We all feel fear. It's more about what we do with that feeling when we get it. So when you feel that feeling, go through that process and then automatically see that energy, feel that energy as transformed, feel it as this excitement, this energy that's going to propel you forward into whatever it is that you're going to do. So when I visualize myself stepping on stage and people loving me and whatever else I'm visualizing, then I can take that energy, I can take that feeling that I'm having and say, of course, this is what this energy is meant to be. Maybe it came up because of this, and that's not me. I am not scared. I am not afraid of this. This is not going to kill me. I am stronger than the thought of fear. And take that feeling and rock it into whatever you're doing. Take it and just own that energy. Use that energy to be your best self. I find it actually much easier to do this as opposed to not feeling any fear or not feeling any of that energy in your body and then stepping out and attempting to do something. Personally, I've only had a handful of times where that's even happened to me. I mean, every day before this broadcast, I get these feelings. People call them butterflies, whatever you want to call them. I get this churning, this energy that starts brewing in me. And after I've been doing this for so long, I just realized that, shit, that is just that's my body telling me it's go time. Once you practice, once you start to know your body, you start to feel that feeling come on, you just smile because you know that it's go time. You know whatever you're about to step into is important. It's just it's just important. And it's important for you to realize that if you don't have that feeling, if you're not excited, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there that's saying to you that this isn't for you, that this isn't your calling. I don't know. Personally, I know the few times that I've not felt that feeling, I haven't felt very inspired. I didn't give good performances. I wasn't at my best self. My body didn't produce that energy. So acknowledge fear, love it, transform it, take the story, flip it on its 180, and use it as excitement. Use your breath. Your breath is your life force. Always use your breath. It's like a lifeline. Anytime you feel yourself waning or something catching up on you, even while you're performing or you're doing whatever, don't forget to breathe. Because I've done that multiple times too, where I'll transform it. It feels great, and all of a sudden I get out there and I'm like, I need to breathe. Just need to take a stop and breathe. And I've done that. I've done that on stage where I'll just be looking at everyone and be like, soaking it in. So, man, time flies when we're having fun. Any questions on fear or how you can transform it, or any kind of feedback on the process that you went on earlier around your story and the fear that you acknowledged? Go ahead and type any questions into the chat box now. I just pulled the chat back up. Thank you, Jimmy. I love the painting as well. It's actually a one-off painting from a guy in Mexico. Pretty cool. So let's see here. We've got a couple questions coming in. When does fear go away? Well, like I said, I don't think fear ever really does go away. I don't think that, thank you for that question, by the way. I don't think fear goes away. I don't think that we as human beings, with the chemicals that are going on in our bodies at all times, I don't think we need to get rid of fear. I don't think that it will benefit us. I feel that energy is there for a purpose, and that fear is going to transform into excitement. So I don't think that ever goes away. I mean, I've spoken to highly, highly successful people that speak on stage all the time, that talk or whatever, they do these things that they're afraid of, they're fearful of, and they say it never goes away. They just take it and they acknowledge it. I think it's about familiarity. I think we as humans, automatically, we don't know what it is, we're fearful of it. Like, what is that feeling? What is that energy coming in my body? Like, I don't know what that is, and I don't know what to do with it. It's just kind of balling up, and it's like making my chest all, no, you just let it freeze you. Where the more practice you have with it, the more you've dealt with it, then you can just let that energy come in, acknowledge it, use it to create a story, and take that energy to propel you forward into whatever it is that you're stepping into. Thank you for that question. Any other quick questions before we wrap up here? It is 6:29. Questions? All right. Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions coming in, so thank you guys for joining us on this Hump Day Hangout. I hope you got some great value out of this. If you have any questions and you didn't want to ask them here, feel free to email me, matt@thebluespoke.com, or just send me a message in Facebook or any other ways of communication. I'm more than happy to respond. Have an amazing rest of your week. If you have, and here's another thing, if you have any topics that you really want to hear me speak about, or if you've heard me speak about it on a past thing and you want to hear me elaborate more on a Hump Day Hangout, let me know. Email me, message me. I'm always up for good ideas. I generally just live life, and when I'm working with clients or when I'm working with my own stuff that comes up, I just I'll write notes down. I'm like, that's a good topic, I want to elaborate that on. And I know other people will love it too. So if you have any topics, any questions, feel free to send them in. I'll be more than happy to check them out and go over for you. So have an amazing day. Happy Hump Day. Rock the rest of your week. go to your place, check in on your fear, see what the story is that we're telling ourselves, create a new one, and be awesome. Have a great night. Enjoy the now. Cheers.